past it. Notice they're going to have a brick-like look here. They're going to have, where Doty Road is in here, it's going to be that little pavilion there. And this is what's going to looking sort of north. This is the pressure building. And this is Doty Road in here. And this is what they call 2nd Avenue. Ringwood Avenue, that's old Jack's building there. In the park, there's a lot of work done on that already. Now the reason I put this in, there's your mayor here, Mayor Hagstrom, and this is Ace Tashin. I made this sign for them. He is a trailblazer over here. You go at the back beach, you will see Indian heads painted on flat stones, depicting the trail, the Indian trail up through there. And this, the reason this marks the site, there was a Weibel family that during the Revolution, as I was Civil War, that the children went out to pick nuts. It was in the fall of the year, and all of a sudden the sky darkened. It got cold, and it started snow and hail, and they were lost. They sent searching parties for these children and all, and they found them in the spring. They just thaw it out, and this marks where their cabin was in the mountains. Take the trail on Back Beach, cross the river, and you will come upon this a historical marker.
Oh, was the children alive?
Pardon?
No, they were dead.
Dead, all frozen, huddled, and one of the boys had to put his coat over top of his sister or brother. I don't remember.
How many
which.
children were
Sister.
there?
3.
Yeah.
Was it 3?
Well, are they
There's a
buried
pump.
over here by the cemetery? Because I just see.
No, they
No.
were supposed to have been buried up in the mountains here.
Uh-huh.
Joe Cisco told me that he knew where they were buried, so I made an appointment with him when he was still I think he's still in town here. I haven't seen him for a long time. And I said, okay, Joe. So we met and we went up there, and you know, Hudali, they were going to build or start a quarry up there, stone quarry. So the bulldozers cut roads up through there and all, and we spent the whole morning there and part of the afternoon looking for the grave sites. And Joe says, I gotta apologize to you. I'm sorry, he says, I can't find it. There's been so much what do you call it, the area disturbed, that he says they must have taken the cemetery and everything, and they bulldozed the road up through there, because I had a flatter spot
There's
at the
an old
mountain.
cemetery back there, right?
It was just for the Weibel family. There was another cemetery behind this other building that you see
it
here
really-
before the bridge, where you go over the bridge
Yeah.
in Wanaque here.
Uh-huh.
On the right-hand side, there used to be a bobbin factory. That was there before the Civil War, you know.
Uh-huh.
Of course, I have a map around the Civil War period, and it shows the Scarrit bobbin factory on there. Across the river from there was a cemetery too,
Really?
and that disappeared. When Lewis West was working there as a watchman, night watchman, he says they stopped, when they come across the human bones, they stopped the project, and the police and everybody checked the area out, and then they let them work again, and then they shut them down a second time, and then the third time they just let it go, and stones disappeared. One of our what would you call them, officers from the North Jersey Highlands Historical Society knows somebody that has a tombstone from there. And what he wants to do with the tombstone is beyond me. But that's what he said.
Which cemetery was this from?
Across from the bobbin factory. You know where the Venetia's house is up there on the hill?
Yes.
Across the way, there's a building there that stays, that's quite a ways off the main road. Well, that was a bobbin factory. You can walk around the back, the river. You'll still see the raceway there, the stonework, and that's where they had a turbine that worked 2 stories. Almost, maybe it could have went up to 3 stories. That's quite a tall building, and there's a lot to see there yet. And this, the reason I'm showing this building is, I'm afraid, may be condemned. This is the Wanaque School right over here, the Midvale School they called it, and right there you see Mr. Hewitt there, Abram S. Hewitt, and one of his daughters. He dedicated this school, to Pompton Township. And that's what we were before we became Wanaque.
Is that
Pompton Township.
is that vacant right now, the building?
It's
Yeah.
vacant now. It shouldn't be. I don't know what the situation is with it right now, but it should be used. But the mayor told me that he looked at it with a group, and it's in the cellar. The main beams, the support beams, are already bowing quite badly, and they may collapse. But I don't know. I heard a story that there was a bell on the top there, and whoever removed that bell caused that to leak. And when it started to leak, that's what deteriorated the building.
Oh,
So we got to look into that.
I like the building because it's
Yeah.
like the entrances, one's boys, one
Yeah.
girls.
This is on your day tripping, if you wanted to go. Well, on 23 going north, on 23, Newark Watershed had this reservoir here with this a little building on there that worked the dam. It had a gate on it. Every afternoon around 3 o'clock, they opened the gate out and the water would come down the stream. And we had an archaeological dig down below. They were looking over the area, and one day the fellas almost lost their cameras and everything. Didn't realize that the water was going to come rushing down after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But this is half gone already. But if you still can see a lot. That's on the way going north toward Newfoundland. That belongs to the Newark Watershed. That's going.
Yeah, now it's this
This is what you got there now. That's the aerating plant.
Yeah, that was the previous one. That was a spillway.
Yeah.
Now, presently, they just restored that gate control house. But the what kind of archaeological dig were you doing down below the river there further? Remember you're saying you were doing a dig and almost got
He wasn't.
No, what's that?
somebody else was?
He wants to know who was doing the dig. It wasn't you.
Oh, no, the archaeological work? No, I wasn't doing it, no. But I was just
He
checking
knows-
up on it.
we know
And over
who
here
it
to the
was.
right is the Charlottesville, Charlottesburg reservoir. And underneath that reservoir, well, it wasn't a reservoir at the time, but there used to be an iron furnace there that was run by John Jacob Fish, later run by Erskine. That's underwater. But there is an area there, if you're going south on 23, up at the north gate of, what is that, Smoke Rise, you'll see a plaque. And here's what you'll see. That's 1765. And here's what you're going to see. See the stonework here? There's a lot of stonework. I looked for iron ore, none there. So that wasn't a bloomery. It had to be a forge where they got the pigs and they worked the pigs into whatever they wanted. Now this is crumbling. This is the Clinton furnace. That's off of Route 23. The Clinton road runs from Route 23, goes north all the way up to the 511, then takes you right into Route 94 up in, what's the name of that town?
Charlottesburg?
No. This part here is completely caved in, right here. This is all gone. Every bit of it is gone. It caved in. You have to come down the bank here, but you can see the top of it from the road. The road off of 23 comes over this way here, and it heads north, and it goes up toward Warwick. That's what I wanted to think about. That's my son there. This is when it was still in pretty good shape.
You can
But
see
this
that.
already was rebuilt in 1903.
You can see. Oh, really? That's pretty late for.
Pretty
Yeah.
well gone now.
Yeah, I got the dates on that, when it was producing, what it produced and all, and I can show it to you later if you want. She's got the book in her hand.
Around when was that photo taken?
Pardon?
The photo of the furnace there. When was that taken
That's
approximately?
25 years ago.
That photo? At least
Yeah.
25 years ago, when I took that photo.
So you can
And
see
if you-
that from Clinton Road or from Route.
It's on Clinton Road, on the
Yeah.
right-hand side.
Right hand side.
Yep.
Yeah, on the right
And
hand.
next to it is this, only about 25 feet north. It's a beautiful scene there.
Oh,
The road
it's
is right across the
beautiful.
top there.
When you look at that.
You look down, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Is it
Clinton.
near where the Clinton Castle is, as we used to know it?
Yeah, they call it Cross Castle.
Oh, Cross Castle.
Yeah.
I think there was like a path to the
Yeah.
left that went up there.
Yeah,
This is
we
in
have
Pompton
some-
Lakes.
That's why,
right?
you know, you recognize this area?
This isn't Pompton Lakes, but
Pompton Lakes, that's all that is left of that furnace is this charging bridge here. This abutment here, they used to go over this way here, and the furnace was located right about here. Now you'll see right there, you'll still see the pit, wheel pit here. They had a 25-foot wheel that gave power, and the water power came from the lake here, from the Pompton Lake, and it went down through back of where this garage is, across the street where there's a what is it, a Sunoco station, and the buildings on the left of that Sunoco station, if you're looking south, are some of the original buildings. If you just take time and study it, there's been a lot of changes. You know, they blocked off some of the windows. They put some siding on there, but this was a thriving little village down in here. And a flood of 1903 wiped out a church and all the little houses along that road that go. That's this side of the Wayne. You know where what's his name, Pontiac there.
Yeah,
Maroon Pontiac.
Yeah, is where it crossed. Now you'll see they did a lot of damage there. They put houses on top of that mountain, and they blasted a roadway. And they had that supported, otherwise it would have collapsed. Now here's the dam there, and off of here is where they took. They had the raceway going in here, where they took the power for the wheel to work. But this was wiped out in 1903. Here's what you see today. That's all that's left there. And right here, this is taken before they blasted that road through there. They made the builder shore up this whole piece of stonework so that it wouldn't collapse. It's all made of red sandstone. And all this is the charging platform. Just a bridge over to the furnace stack where they put the iron ore in there. There were a lot of iron ore in that area years ago. About 25 years ago, I picked up some pieces that were at least 50 to 75 pounds in weight in the area, but somebody took them. I didn't take them. Here's the wheel pit of that furnace, and I say the raceway goes right on behind that gas station. You can still see that if you walk up there. The Hemlock Road is the road that's to the right here, goes up along the lake.
Your pictures are historical, even if it's only 25 or 30 years old. You look up in that hill now, it's all
Houses.
houses.
I
It's
got
like that
photos
one
of that
the
too. You can't believe what they're doing up there.
The Clinton
You can't
furnace
believe.
is like the
Yeah.
one there from
Yeah.
1903. That's historic too, because like you were saying.
Yeah, this is just slightly north, sort of northwest of where the furnace. The furnace is right here, just a little bit above that, maybe 100 feet. Is this beautiful stonework here? You see, there's no concrete, nothing holding it because they didn't have it in those days. But the sandstone, the same type that the furnace was made out of, is here. And I marveled at the stonework, and that's the reason I took this picture. It was just a little bit further toward Pompton Lakes. Here's Torn Mountain. You know, we was looking at those pictures before. That's Torn Mountain here. That was a lookout for George Washington when his troops were here in, this is the Ramapo Valley Pass. Ramapo Pass. And Torn Mountain up there was also a place where they had one of those beacons. If the British were in the area, they lit those beacons at night. And if this one lit, then the one was lighted on the top of, what's the name of that road? Skyline. And when Skyline was lit, then Federal Hill lit theirs. And it went down in a series all the way from the Hudson River. That alerted all of the iron workers and what would you call Continentals that the British were in the area. That's quite a hike up there. I got a friend, he's 95 or 96 years old. Takes his birthday cake up there every year, takes that hike up there and has his birthday cake and comes down. He's an historian. His name was Clarence Conklin. He's now living in Owl Creek in Virginia. This is the building here I was showing you before in those pictures. That's the foundry. That was they made the yard goods, cotton goods, and the upper portion is removed. There was another portion there. This building was built with others on the other side in 1795 by the Pearson brothers. And there was a bleachery here, and in the front here, right about in there, was a pattern storage building. People for years wondered what that was, and they couldn't find out. I found out it was a pattern storage building. Now, when you're coming off 17, you're going toward Suffern now, this way here toward Hilburn. You'll take a left, go in here on top of this bridge. This bridge was knocked off by a railroad train with a cargo on top that was higher than the bridge. And it took it right off. For 2 years you couldn't go this way. You had to go around down from the Hilburn area north on the road there that went to the Ramapo landfill, and you went in the back way to go into the village. The village is behind here. This was used for storage now. There's different companies using this as storage. Avon used it for a while. Also, the summer type of furniture store, what's the name of it again? It's in Wayne, the new building they built there. I can't remember that name. I have trouble with it.
So actually, where's Ramapo, the town of Ramapo, located?
That's
Between
right in here, down the Ramapo. Over here, on the right, at one time there was the Emco Diner, and a gas station there, and on the other side they had a big brick building with a big stack. They used to build railroad cars for the railroads in there. And that stayed empty for quite a number of years. They had a file factory there also. They made files in that building, and later it was destroyed. That was just north of where the church, the little stone church, is. And there's a cemetery there. The Pearsons are buried there. A lot of people from around the Ramapo area were buried in that area.
Where is Ramapo lie? Between what towns? Or what area?
It's in Rockland
Between
County.
Sloatsburg
It's
and
just north,
Sloatsburg
it's
is
just
Suffern?
south of Sloatsburg. When you come off Sloatsburg Road,
Yes.
and you make a right onto 17, it's only a mile and a half down the road, and on your left.
Okay.
There used to be a water tank there used to furnish water for the steam engines. That's gone, and you'll see through some of the natural devastation that occurred in some of these photos. Now here's the building as you see it today, and these tanks were a later addition. Somebody, I think maybe Avon put them there.
And what building is this?
Yeah,
What building
On
is this?
Sloatsburg. What's that building?
that's on the left side if you're heading toward Hilburn. Or
And what is it actually? What was it a factory for?
it's the Ramapo Foundry.
Oh, it is a Ramapo.
Yeah, that's the foundry. They called that Ramapo Wheel and Foundry Company. That was the name of it. But you see, before this place was making iron, on the other side of the river was the original nail and blister steel and iron foundry by what's his name? Pearson. But that was washed out in 1855. A freshet, that's what they call them. A spring storm broke the dam, washed out everything across the river, and the only thing remained was this: the cotton building here, the bleachery here, and later on, 1866, W.W. Snow, he's the one that started the American Brake Shoe and Foundry Company. Got in touch with the Pearson descendants and thought he would like to start making a brake shoe for railroad trains and brake shoe products, and he found that this would be quite the ticket to start that project. So in 1866 he started making brake shoes in this place here. And here, when I'm taking a trip to Mawa, and I see this. This is the furnace. In later years, they started the dismantling this section here, and they couldn't pull it down. The cable broke because there's 4 legs on here. There are cast iron legs. They had to burn through the legs and then pull it with a bulldozer over here and pull it down. They did that the next day. My friend Steve Matson was in charge of that. So this section now is gone, and there's no more furnace in there. All that is a storage building now today. Somebody's renting it for storage. Now here's the beginning of the flood of the village of Ramapo. It looks like it was October the 10th,
203.
1903.
Is that by Oakland, Ramapo?
See, there's a house right
No,
there.
that's in Sloatsburg.
This is, if
Ramapo
you're going from
Village.
Sloatsburg, you're heading toward Suffern or toward Hilburn. It's only a mile from where you enter off of Sloatsburg Road, about a mile, mile and a half maybe. And on your left is where the dam broke. The dam was over here. This is looking toward Suffern or Hilburn. The Ramapo, in later years, the Ramapo Land Company started the landfill over there. It's a story in itself on that. You see the houses already are floating. This came down right there where you almost come off that Sloatsburg Road and enter Route 17 where that road stand is. This is the devastation that took place when the Potomac Lake Dam broke, then wiped out the Cranberry Lake Dam. The Cranberry Lake wiped out the Ramapo Dam where the foundry was, and that wiped out the Hilburn Dam, and finally it wiped out the Pompton Lakes Dam. And that was the end of the iron works over in Pompton Lakes, which was a Horner Ludlam Steel Company. That sort of wiped them out. You see how it really ripped through there, tore out that, made a valley actually. And this is looking toward Hilburn, toward Suffern. You're looking sort of in the southeasterly direction. See, I've washed everything. Well, you see it, no soil at all, only rocks after. The old foundry is down in there. And the store would be up there. And some of the houses on the high ground here remain, but down in that valley over there, that mountain is Nordkauf Mountain. That's just to the left of Hoevenkopf Mountain, if you're looking south. More devastation. How it dug out the ground. There's a man standing there, and it gives you an idea of the depth of the erosion. There's the foundry here. So it tore down all the walls, ripped up the railroad tracks here. This is the building that was later known as the Brauhaus. That's gone today too. There used to be a bridge across here, that footbridge. I got pictures here on the table showing that footbridge. They used to go across here and go up into here and buy their goods. My aunt lived right in this, there's a house right here, and the railroad tracks only about, I'd say from the house itself, they had to build a wall there when the railroad came in. It was about 5 feet away from the house. And I spent one night there with my cousin. I wanted to fish in the lake there, and that was about 1930, 31. And my gosh, when the train came through there at night, you thought you were going to be knocked out of the bed. But they slept through it. They were used to it. There's some more devastation, see? We're looking toward Suffern here, toward Hilburn. Just dug out the whole area. More devastation. Here's where the dam went across here. Dam is wiped out, see? Nothing there anymore. Here's where the dam went across. These houses stayed, they were on high ground. But this is the area where the old 1795 Pearson Iron Works was located, right here. That was all washed out in 1855. And here's some more of the houses and the devastation here.
Was this the flood of 1903?
Pardon?
Flood of 1903?
1903, exactly. Now here's some more of it.
Now where is it located?
Wiped right out.
Sloatsburg.
Oh, it is Sloatsburg
Yep.
still.
Yeah.
See this Erie Railroad tracks west of Suffern, 1903. So we're looking up towards Suffern this way.
Is that the same railroad that goes up through Tuxedo
Through
Park?
Mawa goes up to Jersey City.
Oh, I see.
They used to have 2 lanes of tracks here. This one here was one that was a side track that went into the sawmill and went to the plant out here where they made the iron works, the wheel works. See that these cars here were loaded with iron ore, magnetite, from the Sterling mine, and they were locked. The wheels were locked, and they had cables tied to this bridge. that saved this bridge from getting washed out. It's a steel bridge. It's still standing, but the one on the other side where the motor vehicles traveled, was completely gone. Wiped them right out completely. This bridge stood. This is the railroad bridge. You see the cars here loading the Erie Railroad cars? They're loaded with iron, ore, that is, and that's
Oh, what
very
was
heavy.
that bridge made of? That bridge was made of iron or something?
Iron steel. That's a steel bridge, yes.
Yeah.
And that looks like the one you had here in Wanaque.
That's the
almost.
one I'm thinking
Yes,
about.
the same
because
design.
I remember the bottom was like all water.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was a kid and I used to walk across there when I was a kid, you know?
There was two over on the Ramapo River
Yeah.
downstream from this here, built the same way. And
So
one
when did
was
they
the-
pull that bridge down? We used to call it the trestle.
Yeah, the truss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, because of the truss work. Yes.
Oh,
Here it is. Here's a road where the vehicles travel. The 1903 was completely washed out, but they saved this bridge. You still can see that bridge yet today. There's some of the houses here, duplex houses. Look there. They had no cellars under them. They just had they were built up off the ground, but no cellar under these houses. The two families lived in them, and if you wanted to have one of those houses, your husband or whoever had to work for the company, and he had to have boarders. Otherwise, if you didn't have any boarders, you couldn't get a house. That was the company-owned house. Here's some of the devastation here. This house seemed to make it. We're just looking down the street. Here you can see the railroad tracks here. You see it here, 1903? Just to the left. They had a siding that went off here that went to the sawmill. The sawmill was in this area over here. But I know there's at least 4 houses, maybe 5 were missing here. The road used to go in along these houses in this, let's see, went this way and then went up through here and around like a horseshoe, came back out.
So did
We used to deliver bread there when I was a kid.
oh, excuse me, that foundry, so that pretty much, they own the town.
Yeah.
They went,
Pearson's owned the town.
they owned that whole town, you're exactly right.
Anything from the store to the place you lived?
Yeah.
the
That
house.
was theirs. Skelding operated it. He had like a concession there, Mr. Skelding, and he paid. He had like a lease on it from them, but it was a company store practically. You know, everything there was run by the Pearsons. These houses are gone. Every one of these houses today are gone. All's left here is the railroad tracks here, and this is nothing but overgrown with the trees and brush, and it's gone. Even the levee on the left side here that went along the Ramapo River, that was washed out too. Look, here's
Oh,
these
yeah,
houses.
yeah.
The type of house that my 2 brothers were born in. But that house withstood the flood. It was up in this area a little bit more. This is Hilburn, where the bridge stood. There was another bridge. There was a car bridge there. That wiped that out too. And then this footbridges, all that was left. This house, I believe, was the Snow house. Phoebe Snow. She was a sister to Snow, that was the one that started the American Brake Shoe Foundry Company, Rockland Electric Company too. He had something to do with the Hubenkoff Country Club, a golf course there in Malwa. He was quite a guy, W.W. Snow. You see, there's the house. This is Snow.
This storm from 1903, you always hear about it and the damage that it caused. Do you know any history on it, how long the actual rains, the storm was itself in 1903?
You know that I never delved into that. I don't really know.
It ran all the way
But
to
it was
Patterson,
very
yeah.
sudden, and it was ferocious. I mean, it just, you know, like they say, come down in buckets, and it was like a flash flood. And before they knew it, when one dam broke, and it broke them all in the series all the way down to Pompton Lakes.
Yeah,
You can
Patterson,
imagine, even
too.
River Street in Patterson was flooded.
Yeah.
This is where the Avon is over here in Suffern. This railroad here is intersected. That's actually the original railroad. This is from Piermont. That's the Piermont Railroad that went through here. It was a single track, came out in Suffern, where Orange Avenue and what was that other street coming in there? 202, right at that angle. That's just north of it. Just on this side of that railroad track was Lake Antrim. Well, a little bit of it is left yet. Over here's a stone quarry on the right-hand side. And the mountain is gone. Now they're going down. They're down about 100 feet in the ground. They're like mining rock, trap rock, down in a hole in the ground. And I was there about a month ago, and it's a winding road. It takes you down, down, down until you're down to about 100-foot level. And someday the upper portion of it here is going to be bulldozed in there. 5 more years, the manager says that's going to be completed, and they're going to level it off. I put this in here because this is the way the charcoal furnaces look. They were thin here. They had the Bosch was kind of large, and it tapered. But the anthracite furnaces were straight down. They didn't have this big belly and thin up here. And of course they worked on the same principle. They tapped out on the bottom, and they had the bellows here. As one went down, the other one went up, and the water wheel, of course, worked. And they had cams over here. They see the cam here? It strikes this and knocks it down, gives a blast of air in there, and they alternate. And here's the flow of water on a water wheel going down there, filling these little pockets up, and it's giving them the power on this big wooden pole here with these cams hitting these bellows and giving them air. There's a man working on the...
Didn't like Bloomingdale or Riverdale have one by that Slater's Mill? Didn't they have one? I remember I used to see one.
What was
Yeah.
that?
Slater's Tower.
Slater's Mill, that was a different thing. That wasn't a...
So,
they had a turbine
Stetson
there.
has it.
You can still see it. The turbine's there. I got pictures of that.
Around.
So someday, if you see Mr. Americonda, he'll set up a date with me, and I'll show you all about that. I've got thousands of slides, and I can put them together and make stories. They used to use bark from trees, from pine trees, and they used to have pelts there and felt. They used to make hats and stuff, you know, the material.
yeah,
for
they
it.
like. You ever heard of Stetson hats?
There you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
There you are. You know. Now this is something that's very interesting. Here's their forge over here. You see the size of that iron head on that hammer? And here is, I want you to take particular notice of this. They call that a springboard for the trip hammer. That's made out of oak, heavy oak. You see the undercut here? Then it's square here, and then it's flat on the bottom. Well, there's a hole in the top here, and this gets wider over here at the base where it's held up. As the water wheel turns, see the cams there? Right there's one. There's another one there. There's one at the bottom. When those cams, that big, like a telegraph pole, goes out, and there's a water wheel here. That water wheel turning this big shaft, these cams come down, and it raises this hammer up, and it puts pressure on this beam here, spring beam, that's made of wood. And as it put pressure on here, when the cam slips, it gets a big boost from that spring, knocking that down and hitting it with terrific force. The whole ground used to shake when that big hammer would hit that piece of steel or iron or whatever you want to call it. And here's the man here working at the furnace base to get the iron. It looks to me like he's working a bloomery here, where they take a bloom out. The bloom is where the iron is in a pasty form. And they get a rod and they roll it on there, and they get this rod, get as much iron as they want on it, with all the impurities on it, and they switch it over to the anvil, and then the hammer starts hammering out all the impurities, and that's how they forge their metal parts. Today, that is no longer used. What they got ductile iron today. And I worked in the foundry there up to 1953 when they started just to go into that phase of making nodule iron, or what they call it, ductile iron. They'd pour the iron in. As they were pouring it into the ladles, they'd inject this magnesium into it. And people couldn't look at it. They have all dark glasses, shields and all. And there was such a flash. And then went into the ladle, took it out there, poured it into these molds. And the molds had to stand the whole day on the floor. And then the next day, the shakeout men would shake these molds out, and then they would take it to the cleaning room. They'd deburr it and grind it. Then they put it back in the oven, and they heated a certain number of degrees, and then they let it cool, and it was malleable after that. You could hammer it just like one of these here forged pieces of iron. They don't do this anymore. This method is it's primitive. It's done in China and different places. Now this is the only remains off of Route 17. That's right near Tuxedo there. This is Orange County. Right off of 17 on your left, you'll see a sign there, a plaque. It's a blue and yellow sign. It says Augusta Furnace. This is all that remains of it here. The archway is gone, and only this stonework is left there. Route 17 here goes up to Tuxedo and Sloatsburg. And here's what you see today. Here's I was standing here taking this picture. Here's the dam. Route 17 is over this way. Augusta Furnace is right here. It was an anchorage. They made anchors and stuff there. Here's a better picture of it. And this is the Ramapo River, of course. And this is in Orange County. And this is near Arden, but it's Tuxedo. And you'll see that plaque there. It's worth to walk down there, and maybe you'll pick up some iron artifacts and things like that. Now this one's a different furnace. This furnace is on the west shore of Greenwood Lake. The only time you'll see this furnace is if you're traveling north on the west shore going into the New York State side of Greenwood Lake. This was called the Noble Furnace. But I have a map, and Mr. Muraconda has it hanging. Where is it, upstairs or is it in this room? That map I gave you.
One of Long Pond? Yeah, that's upstairs
The
by the
1800s.
Is it upstairs?
by the Atlas
Of
collection.
1830 map.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Done the
It
whole-
shows this as a Grace furnace. Now Noble was the builder of this here. Now Noble built this furnace. They call it the sucker furnace because people that put their money in it were suckered out of their money. And then he gave it that name, the sucker furnace, they said. Never went into blast. Built funny, much different than all the furnaces. You see, these are like slabs instead of cut rock. Today there's houses being built all around. Somebody's trying to preserve these ruins. Otherwise they're going to destroy them. But you can see it only going north. If you're coming from north to south, there's a ridge here, and it hides it. You'll be past it before you get to see it because it obscures this furnace. But it's worthwhile. You can see it from the road. It's down in the gully. When you first drop down, little stream, only stream on that west shore that's crossing, and you'll see that furnace there. And here's the dam, made out of the same stuff, shale, and it's broken. No more. It's not a dam anymore. But they never went into blast. That was a complete loss. This one here is on the way to West Point. You can see that off of 9W. But you got to go in off of 9W into what they call Popelopin Creek. Popelopin Creek is where this Queensboro furnace is located. It's been stabilized. It was in pretty bad shape at one time, but we almost got in trouble going there and taking pictures. You're supposed to have a written permission from West Point that belongs to West Point. And we went to the provost marshal's headquarters, and he says, the provost marshal says, you don't need a pass. He says, it's okay to go there. The gate is open. There's a cable going in there. It's okay. I says, you're sure? It says you got to have a pass. Lo and behold. Well, we took his word. We went in there. We couldn't go through. There's a cable across there. So we parked as far to the side of the bank there and enough room to let anybody through. Greg Barbarita and I walked in there. We started taking pictures. No more than 5 minutes later, a pickup truck comes down there, and he wants to know what we're doing there. You got a pass? I said, no. I said, we was a provost marshal's office. And he said, we could go in there. He said, you didn't need the pass. Well, he's looking at us, looking at us, looking at us. And it must have took him 5 minutes. You know, he looked us over. He says, I guess it's all right. He says, go ahead. He says, but you got to have a pass to come here. He says, absolutely need one. But go ahead. This is what I took. Now this is in Ogdensburg. This is the zinc company, New Jersey Zinc Company. This is all that's left, and you can still see this. The stacks are still there. This one building is there, and it's just off of it's right off of 94. There's a little road there. I can't remember the name of it. Do you remember? Was it 5 something? 5? It's not 5.
517 maybe.
5 something. I forget what it is. But this is Franklin, and this is all that remains over there. It's worth looking at. This is a very unusual type furnace. It's got a history that goes back. Take a look in the book there. This is the Wanaque furnace. This is where Ames. You ever hear of Ames tools, the shovels, Ames?
Yes.
This is where they began. In about 64, I think it was, they made swords, they made shovels, they made all kinds of iron implements for the Civil War, in the Civil War area. Over here was a cheese box factory. There was there's a raceway over here and all. There's a lot to see there in ruins. There was a little village back there. You go to Wanaque State Park up there, and you can't drive up to this furnace, but you can walk in and around that area. There used to be a big mule barn over here, and I took pictures of that mule barn. I don't have it in here. I got it in another setup. I said, you know, someday that's going to be burned down or something. I better take a picture of it. You know, 2 years later, somebody burned that mule barn down. There was something nice to see. And then now, today, you won't believe, they've got steel angle iron here with all kinds of bolts here supporting it so it doesn't collapse. It sure took away all the aesthetics of an old historic furnace. This is where they got their start. And one of our members got all the literature on this furnace. But when they left and they went up to Massachusetts, and they're still in the business, you can buy Ames tools, and they're the best tools you can buy. This is what you can still see today if you go up Wanaque. Did you find the date on that?
Yeah, 1846 to 1856.
1846 to 66. There you are.
56.
Now this one here is right. The throughway goes right along here, and Route 17 is a little further south, or yeah, it would be southwest. This furnace turned out grape shot in the the Civil War. It made pig iron, and this is very interesting because just to the side of this building over here is the Orange County Museum. You go in there and you'll see some of the artifacts that I had given them that I found in the area, and they shall have it on display. Behind here is a Pelton wheel, a different type of a system than you see today. It's gravity fed from a lake up above, and there's so much here to see in this area here. They now have a bridge across here, and you can walk up and look down into the throat. This was an anthracite furnace, incidentally, and you can walk on top, and beautiful view. They have chain link fence around here, a nice way to walk. At the time, here you're taking a chance walking across there. You could have got killed if you fell off there. But there's a lot to see. And up above this is the Clove furnace. Above this Clove furnace is the Greenwood furnace. At one time they had the wrong name attached to these furnaces. But this was taken by Jim Ransom. He photographed this as you see it right now. That was his photograph. And that's all that's left of the Greenwood furnace. That's upstream. The water powers from the Echo Lake, they call it. It's a small pond. The stream is a very fast running stream that comes down from the east to west. And big walls, stone walls up in here. That was the first furnace in that area. This was a charcoal furnace. I found a lot of implements there. There I am. You don't see many photos of me, I'll tell you the truth. But this is one I took of myself on a tripod. And there I have a horseshoe, and I've got a part of a hub of a wheel, a wagon wheel. There's a big steel or iron plate here, some tools here. I gave them all to the museum because they didn't know what they had up there. The forge was down in here. There must have been 50, 60 horseshoes there, and mule shoes, and all kinds of stuff. I didn't touch any of it. 2 years later, I come back, nothing there. Somebody wiped it all out. Here's the stream. Echo Lake is up here. This is the stream. This is what fed the water wheel up here, and that iron furnace. And this goes down here, and there were forges down here on the bottom. This goes down to the Clove furnace, the first photo I showed you of that big furnace. Now, this is Arden. This is the same area. If you drive in there, you'll see a sign Arden on Route 17 going north. And it was named Arden after Robert Parrott's wife, Arden, her maiden name. But it's still, in that area is called Southfields, I believe. It still belongs to them. Or it could be,
Woodbury.
well, not Woodbury, they called it Turner's. The Turner's was later called Harriman. But it's in that area. It's Orange County. This is a little schoolhouse. It's worth a trip to walk up there and around here and see this building here. A little schoolhouse here. And next to it is the church. All built out of stone.
Cemetery is
there.
nice there too.
Pardon?
The cemetery is nice there too.
Yeah, oh, you got it. You've been there. How about that?
I'm a
there
member.
it is.
I'm a
I
member
got-
of the Orange County Historical.
Yeah, well, I've got a picture of the cemetery in general, but when you're trying to squeeze a couple of hundred years of history in one reel here, you know, you got to cut out a lot of stuff.
Yes, it's nice
Yeah.
though. I like it.
Now you can see this. You could probably read that if you're good.
A-17.
That's Parrott there. Edward M. Parrott.
May 17th, 1850.
There you
May
are.
17th,
You got good eyes.
1902.
Yeah, that's on the. It's one of those tombs.
He
Laying
was
on
like
the-
17 for some reason.
All right.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Now here's Peter.
Eric.
Horace Parrott. His wife is buried there too. Robert Parrott's wife is buried in that area. And here now I take you to another place. When you're going down the Sloatsburg Road, and just before you go up that one big hill up there, where Eagle Valley Road is, you make a left at the light. There's a light there on the Sloatsburg Road. It's the first and only light on that road that I know of. You make a left, and you go down the road about 2 miles, and on the left, you'll see a road cut off. Of course, the original section is cut off with big boulders, but now you go up to the second section, make a left, you go in there, and you're going to see a furnace there, which is one of the old furnaces where they made the parts of the chain that went across the Hudson River. It was made there. Townsend was the builder, the owner of that furnace. Now, this is the area. Lakeville was quite an iron village there. If you know of what's his name? He used to be chief of police in Ringwood. What the heck's his name? The chief of police in Ringwood, retired.
Yeah.
Oh man, Van
Tassel. Yeah,
Van
Van
Tassel. He was born in a house just below this here, and all these buildings were occupied at that time. But what happened was, Mrs. Harriman says, after the mine shut down after World War I, she says, I want them all out of there. Burn them houses down. Get them out. I don't want no one living on this property. And of course, this was a time office in here. They start to get burned down. You get there, when you enter there, you see this road here. That's West End Road. The one furnace is here. Railroad tracks used to go across. You can see them where they went across the area. They're buried enough because they put pavement over top of them, but they're still there. And over here, you're going to see World War I loading and the crusher there and all worked until after World War I. But there's other furnace. There was 2 furnaces on the site here, which you'll see in in a few seconds. That one there, the first one was a very early furnace, and the second one with number 2 furnace come in later years. Now see here, this was their main building here, where they went in to write letters. It was like a general store, a meeting place, whatever you want to call it. This is all that stands there now. When she gave the order to burn everything down, she meant burn it down, and this is still standing. Many people ask, what is that structure there? Well, the fireplace and that, what do I call it, a pavilion or whatever you want to call it. That's where the people met and they had discussions and everything. See, here's some of the houses, very small houses. They're all burned out. Here's that furnace. They glorified it. They ruined it by putting this
Sterling, right?
conglomeration around it.
Sterling Ironworks.
And this, the original furnace is inside there. You can still see it looking through here.
Whoever came up with that idea to put that, say,
I don't know.
that capital thing.
They ruined it, didn't it?
Yeah.
No, you can see the old one there. Number 1 furnace is in there.
Yep.
Roland Robbins reconstructed this out of all the debris that was in this area here. Well, it shows that number 1 furnace inside, and it shows it. I got photos of Thomas A. Edison viewing that furnace before they did this, and that was in the 1800s. Now, to the left of what you just seen there, on no more than 100 yards, is this structure here, which was the powerhouse that worked the mine, they call that the lake mine. It went underneath the lake over there, and you'll be able to see 2 tracks. I don't know if you can in this one, but I have it where it shows 2 tracks. This goes underneath that lake over there. What's a lake mine they call that? Lake mine furnace. Not furnace, mine. Now, let me switch on to something here. This is what you see here along the road. The tracks, you can see the tracks there, see? There's 2 sets go down here at about, I'd say, almost a 45-degree angle. A pretty sharp angle.
What is actually underneath that?
Pardon?
There was a mine.
Mine. That's the lake mine.
Oh, that's what's left. In other words,
Yeah,
that's
that's the
covering
lake
the
mine.
entrance.
Under,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep, yep.
And what was
And
it?
that house, what you just see now, that building is right here. And there was a boiler room up there. There's a lot behind these green trees that you can see. You got to walk up in there. But this is all decaying. I wouldn't want anybody to step on that. With that hole, you can see water down in here. But that goes right underneath
That
that.
picture was taken a long time
Underneath
ago.
that Sterling Lake. It's a Sterling mine, Sterling Lake mine that's there. There's something to
Oh,
see.
there you
Now,
go, the old
see, here's
shaft
the
tower.
crusher and loading and all that's on the left there. And that worked until after World War I.
How close is this to the actual mine shaft? Pretty close, isn't it? The previous slide you
From
showed?
where the mine shaft is, maybe 50 feet, 100 feet away.
Okay.
No more.
It's not there no more, though, is it?
Yes, it is. This is still there.
Yeah, these
There's
buildings
another
are here.
one. I don't have the picture of it. Like I say, you can't put everything in. Well, on that Sterling Mine Road, you go up just above this. Don't cut in and view this, but if you go straight ahead, there'll be they call a Scott mine. You see, it looks like a dinosaur sticking up there. Have you seen a structure there that stands way up high? Something
Yes.
like this, but it looks like a dinosaur. Well, that's the Scott mine. And, you know, they had to fill in the piece over there. The road caved down in there, and they had to fill because the Scott mine was sinking. But you can still see the old Scott mine structure like this. That was a World War I operation also. This is now back to Ringwood.
Yay!
You know what this is,
There you
right?
go, hey.
This is an artist's rendition of the old Peters Mine. Originally, Peters Mine didn't go down into the ground like that.
Oh, was that
It
by
was
the
an open pit.
Oh, was that where by the Wanaque Reservoir was?
No, this is north. This is
Off
off,
of
you know where
Margaret
Margaret
King
King is?
Oh.
It's off of
Near
Margaret
the
King.
Pearl Hall.
Peters
Someone told me they flooded
Mine
a
Road,
whole bunch
yeah.
of houses by
If you
the
go
Wanaque.
Margaret King Road, next
Yeah.
go a little, if you're coming, you go up Peters Mine Road, which is off Margaret King, you go all the way in the back, it's like a
Right.
cul-de-sac, and you look to your upper left-hand corner, You see the tallest building there, that cable car tower?
Yeah.
That you can see still, that's
Yep.
still there.
But wasn't there like a city or a little town where they flooded the Wanaque Reservoir or something? They flooded the house on Wood Avenue? I heard
This
there
is
was.
what I was able to pick up.
No,
This
I wouldn't
is-
doubt it, probably.
This is the
Yeah.
old carpenter and blacksmith shop, everything in this building here.
Was
and
this
they used
in
to have-
Ringwood?
The people used to build platforms over here when they had a wedding or something, some celebration.
Is this in Ringwood?
They had their dances
Yeah,
over here.
Ringwood.
This is a water holding concrete tank. There's two of them there. Now this is a skip car that went into the mine shaft right here.
So where's this located if I wanted to go see this?
You go down there, drive down that road, park, there's a cable there, then you can walk in
I
along
could go
the...
up to where? I would go up to Ringwood Avenue?
You know how to, you're going toward Sloatsburg Road, right? You're on
Uh-huh,
Sloatsburg Road.
Uh-huh,
Take a left on Margaret King.
uh-huh,
After you pass the municipal building or the
Uh-huh.
police headquarters,
yeah,
your first road on your right, you'll
Uh-huh.
see a sign there that says Peter Mine Road.
uh-huh,
Go to the end of it.
uh-huh.
You can't go any further. And you can walk in and there's a lot to see.
It looks like a
real
little
lot
town
to
that
see,
was once
yeah.
there.
That railroad went in through here too, you know.
Really?
Pick up iron. Well, you see something here. This is what you see now. That's the ruins. This section was put on during World War II period, World War II period by the government. Why it ever was set afire, I don't know. Here's the water holding tanks. No one seemed to know what they were, and I found out because I got a map of it. I'll give you a map. Have I given you one?
Of this here?
If I didn't, I'm going to give you a map. This is the powerhouse that worked the cables that brought the iron up on the skip cars up to this location. Now that's the powerhouse there. Shows you another picture of it. This is the water tank here. Ruins all through here. This is where the trucks and the cars got loaded. The hoppers from above. That's quite high. Those hoppers are up there, unprotected. And if some kid ever falls in there, he's had it. Now this you don't see anymore. That stood there for the longest time. This is the one of the oldest mines over there, Cannon Mine. This structure now has been taken down, and where this was here, where in this location, children were playing around the mine hole, and it caved in, and one of them grabbed a sapling to hold on. He went in with the sapling and everything, and he's buried in there. He's under tons and tons of earth buried in that mine. They never got him out.
That's Cannon Mine, isn't it?
They pumped, you remember, they pumped for days and tried to get that pump. They couldn't do it. They'd burn the fire engines up if they kept it up. They had to just forget about it.
That's-
And there's a body down in there.
That's Cannon Mine, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cannon Mine.
Cannon Mine. That stood there for a good many years. That's a hoist right on there. It was right on down.
When did they actually tore down the hoist
Yeah.
or the tower?
This is the most unusual furnace in New Jersey. It's not too far. Still under the control of our Park Service over here in Ringwood. They service this. They take care of this. This is called the Beehive. That's a later furnace. And this is in All Air State Park. There's an old village there in the 18th, that would be the 19th century village there, a complete village with a blacksmith shop, you name it, houses, schoolhouse, everything. It's really, you can spend a wonderful day there back in history. And this is All Air State Park. That's the Beehive. You'll never see another like this. This was put on there to preserve the furnace from being destroyed by ice and snow and sleet. See, here is one of the buildings there, where they made wagon wheels and all. See the wagon wheel here?
Oh, yeah.
They're being made. They put the tire around it. That's a steel band they put around. And this is where they made the spokes. You see this here? My father made one of these when I was a kid. You use a draw knife over there, and they used to make the spokes on there. You push your foot on this thing, and it held it down, and you made the spikes. This, what you call it?
Is that on Ringwood Avenue?
This one here is yes. The reason I put this in here,
Yeah. 'cause
was-
I remember I went by
yeah,
it.
today our historical society meets here in this building here. As a matter of fact, next Sunday, my wife and I, this Sunday coming, that's tomorrow, we're going to be there. There's going to be big doings there. You'll see the a duplicate of a chain that was stretched across the Hudson River. They had two of them there. They've got all the literature. It's going to be there till November on the chain that spanned the Hudson River and the one that broke and all of that history is right in there. There's a lot of history in there. It's going to be taken away.
Tomorrow?
From 1 to 4
Yeah.
o'clock. We'll be
Yeah.
there. And I'll take you through the museum there.
They got a
And you can
museum in
see
there, so-
what,
Yeah,
oh,
they
there's a
have
lot of
museum.
stuff. And you'll see the original map, the full-size map of what Mr. Mariconda has upstairs. He's got the smaller version of it I photographed. And you can see that map in there. A lot to see here. There's going to be a lot going on. So tomorrow at 1 o'clock to 4, you can really enjoy some. The reason I took this picture instead of other ones, see the gas tanks here?
Yeah.
The pumps? You had multiple companies. You didn't find too much of that anywhere. You had like
Yeah.
Gulf and you had maybe Esso and maybe Goodrich or Goodyear. No, was that Richfield or some other gas? But there was several different gas companies, and they allowed different tanks to, and they take care of them. They used to have hamburgers
Is one
and
part down or something? Is that-
three. I see three. There must be four. 1, 2, 3.
Because I think I remember going by it, and I remember just was like one building of it. That's all I remember of it. When I go by, because I go up there to go Warwick,
Yeah.
because I like the history up there.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think there's only one building or something there when I go by.
Or the ye old store, no, those actually, those three, what you see there in that
They're
picture is
still
still there.
standing?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember, I thought it was
That's the
only
original
one.
building there. That was built in the early 1700s. This
Oh.
was later
It's
added
now,
on.
Was it
It's on Ringwood Avenue, right?
Friends of, yeah, Long
Yeah.
Pond.
Long Pond, which I'm
Yeah.
a member of also.
Yes.
And right in here, you'll still see the charcoal grill they had when they had used to make hamburgers there. Mr.
it-
West used to make
Yeah.
hamburgers. He run that store.
Yeah,
And he
the
had a-
Hewitt post office there too, didn't
Yeah,
he?
you got it. And that's where they stamped all of the mail that was received on the New Jersey side when Gloria, the rocket plane, flew from the New York state side of Greenwood Lake to the New Jersey side. Very short distance, but it did fly from New Jersey into New York. I mean, from New York into New Jersey. And they stamped all of the postcards. I have copies of them.
Oh, you got copies? I have original.
Somebody had. There's a lot of originals.
Story's nice.
This is what the ice house looked like up there in Greenwood Lake. Now, Stephen Gross here that had this picture. Part of this, which was the boiler room, was later turned into a house, a building. He lived in it for a while when he was single. And now he doesn't live there anymore.
His father owned it.
Father owned it?
Yeah,
Is-
his
oh,
father. His father
What?
lived there.
Isn't that near Deber's Castle, or was that near the dam where the actual ice house was? I know it was on the East Shore of Greenwood Lake.
What was that?
But he wants to know where it was located.
It was located on the, you know where there's a Castle Tavern. You ever hear
Yeah,
that?
Deber's Castle.
Right near the Castle
I
Tavern.
was just gonna, I mentioned to her, I said
Go
near
down in
Deber's
there.
Castle.
Go down in that road, and you'll see where they built a ramp for the rocket and everything down in there. There's a lot of history there. Babe Ruth used to spend a lot of time there, and he had an inboard motor boat built there by Moran for him special. As a matter of fact, in that area there that I'm telling you about, where the Castle Tavern is where the steamboats used to take the tourists that used to take the Montclair Greenwood Lake line, excursion line. The terminus was right there at the New York and New Jersey line, and from there they took the boats and went across the lake on these steamboats. Oh, that was quite a thing in those days, you know.
There was a lot of big hotels back then too.
Oh man,
Days
that-
before
Yeah.
taxes. Days before taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
her grandfather worked in here loading ice into these ice houses. They had different tiers, you know.
How they
go up,
keep the
up.
ice cool in the summer?
They had
Sawdust.
Sawdust.
They buried it in the sawdust and cork. They had cork lining in the walls. And cork is quite a insulator. And all this was shipped to New York to the big hotels, Astor Hotel, all them big ones are there. This was quite an industry. I picture them cutting the ice and all. Now this is in Ringwood Manor. When you drive in there, past the toll booth, on your right is a building there. And that was the dairy building. In the back of that building is this building. You'll have to ask them if they'll open it up for you, because I don't think they open it up every day or even on weekends. As a replica, this was given to Ringwood Manor, to the North Jersey Islands Historical Society by the International Nickel Company. And it depicts the furnace. Here's where the iron comes out, and here's the pigs. The reason they call it the pigs is they call this the sow. The pigs are feeding off of the sow. The pigs are feeding off of the sow. These are actually bars of iron. They could have indentations underneath, which was for the purpose of breaking them in sections. Now in Ringwood they mostly made this bar iron for blacksmiths and different ones that forged it into whatever implement they wanted. They got these that look like steel cannonballs, but they're wood. And this is wood, but it looks real, you know, the kegs here and all that. And here it shows you how it's lit. This scene here is lit up with a light, and it shows you the furnace and the bucket on a hoist.
Well,
how
this
they
is actually the
work.
dairy building, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I never saw this before.
It's in the back.
It's in the back, but it's worth seeing. I'll tell you, they have trouble with these lights. You know, they try to get somebody that has knowledge to get these the sequential lights. It makes it look like the iron is really flowing because they're sequential. You know what I'm talking about. And somehow one of the switches is not cooperating, and they've been trying all kinds of ways to get that to work, and they don't make those type of switches anymore. Something like the old Mercury Cougar had, where the lights, worked in a sequence. Now, the reason I showed this photo, this is where the forge was, up in Ringwood. It says it's a north end. It's way up on the at the end of the grounds there, upriver toward Sloatsburg, but it's on Ringwood Manor property. I'm walking up there, low water level, and I spot this sticking out of the bank. And immediately I noticed, you see the cut here? I sort of told you there was a cut on that springboard for a trip hammer. See it here? There's the undercut, the flat part here, flat here. There's a hole that goes through. There's another big elongated hole here you don't see, and it was in the bank. Now I says, boy, this is a find. People never knew what that was. They thought it was just a log sticking out there. But I recognized it. Then I looked down in here. This is where a dam went across, because here's what I seen. That's the base of the dam. Like a corduroy road almost, but they built the dams out of wood and stones, anything they could find, you know. And there it is. And I says, boy, when I went into Ringwood Manor and told Riker, the superintendent, what I had seen there, that whole mansion there vacated like if there was a fire in the place. They wanted to see this. They all went up there, and I showed him this, and he asked one of the oldest, he was one of the rangers there. His grandfather told him a lot of history about that area. And he asked him if he knew anything about this dam here and about that springboard for a trip hammer. He says, no. And while I'm talking to Riker, I'm picking up cut nails all over the place. Man, I handed him a whole handful. He said, how could you see these things? I said, my mind is always on some artifacts that I might find. And here, I'm picking them up, and they were amazed. Jim Ransom says, I can't see how you can see these things. I said, well, it's like people have their mind on dollar bills. I have mine on to sit on artifacts. But here, go back again. See, here's the logs. and there's that springboard. And that's when that was raised up, it put pressure on this, and when that cam slipped, this thing drove that hammer down.
Did somebody actually save that trip hammer?
Pardon?
Trip board?
Did somebody save it? Tell them what happened.
Ah, you are not going to believe this. I went,
Somebody
took
burned
Jim
it.
Ransom with me over to show him what we had found, and Ransom's friend was Gregory Bobenreuther. He helped him with the Vanishing Iron Works of the Ramapos. He helped him with that book, and that guy was a genius in his own. I'll tell you a story about him someday. And I'm taking him there, and Bobenreuther comes with us, and I'm going to show him the springboard for a trip hammer. We go over there, it's not there. Look at the bank, and it's torn loose from the bank. You could just see how it was ripped loose. And Bobenreuther looks at me, I look at him, I said, I can't believe this. So we put on the first charcoal grill. I says, I bet you there's somebody burning that in a charcoal grill. I had no right to burn anything but charcoal, but people will do things. Went down there and I found this section here was still unburnt from here to here. And Jim Ransom says, why don't you take that home? At least that's something you could put in the museum. I says, no, can't do that. It's not enough of it. People wouldn't understand what it is. But this part was unburned in the charcoal grill. Same day we go up to Long Pond over the furnace site there, and we plotted and photographed the raceway for the new water wheel they were going to put in, which never materialized. They collapsed. Everything went. The iron market went to pot because of the Masavi Range findings. They found iron ore on top of the ground, so that killed that over there. And we're driving back from the Long Pond water wheels site, and there's these wayward boys that what would you call it? Green engineering camp. They were wayward kids, you know. Instead of putting them in prison, they were cutting brush and this and that.
Greenfields.
Yeah. Green.
Yeah, it's for rehabilitation. It's a state
Right.
Department of Corrections Youth
Yep.
Rehabilitation Center. I guess
We're driving out and come to the fork in the road, and there Jim says, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And also Bobenreuther says, I can't believe what I'm seeing. There's these wayward kids with a pole about 4 inches in diameter, like one of these bean poles they have for beans to climb up. He's banging the lintel of the historic building that's there on the site. It used to be the old country store that was in by the water wheels. And I got out of the car and I says, hey, what are you doing? And he says, well, it's that dangerous. Anybody walks underneath there, you might fall on their head. I says, you don't destroy historical sites and artifacts, excuse me. I says, if anything, if you shored it up and kept it from caving in, I says, you'd be doing something, but you're destroying an artifact. I said, who's in charge over here? There's some guy sleeping in the, I guess he was sleeping, the guys were doing what they want. He's in charge. There's a vehicle out there, a carry-all, with a state symbol on it, an insignia. He says, I'm in charge. I said, you see what this fellow's doing? I says, he's knocking this lintel down. He says, you can't do this. And he says, well, no, I didn't see him do it. And then I said, no. I said, well, you don't hear about it. So I wrote a 4 or 5 page letter to the president of our society. He gave it to Riker, he sent it to Riker, and the next meeting we had up there, that fellow was there, and he denied everything. If I had known that was going to happen, I'd have had Jim Ransom with me, and also Gregory Bobenreuther, which are the best witnesses you'd want. But I says, it's not worth the trouble. So that's what happened
They lost
there.
that beautiful barn there on your site too. It was a weenie road.
Now, this is my last one here, and the reason I show this is this supposed to represent Don Quixote on his horse the night, and I guess you know the story of Don Quixote, right?
No.
You ever see the Man of La Mancha,
Yeah.
the play?
Yeah.
Well, that's what it's all about. They had no knights, and he was going to protect. I don't want to go into that story because it's a long story, but he's supposed to have been the knight, and they haven't had no knights in I don't know how many years. He was a little wacky, you know.
That's
And the
wacky,
story
yeah.
is
Does
This
it look
was-
like a blow dryer?
That was
for
written
horses
by
then?
Cervantes.
It's made of transmission parts.
Yeah, the
It's like a
transmission
blow dryer,
parts.
like
You
North
notice the
Jersey
transmission
transmission,
bell
Union
housing
Avenue,
here?
Bloomingdale.
All transmission
No,
parts. You
I
see it
It's
there?
on Union Avenue.
There's another one, a white one behind it. The guy built two of them.
I see that
It's
looks like a
a-
blow dryer.
It's unbelievable, you
On
know?
top of a roof of a garage.
Who
Uh,
did that?
Well, the guy that has the body shop down in there.
You,
But the Cervantes, he was a Spanish writer in what was it, the 15th century.
yeah.
He wrote the story about the man of La Mancha. And I seen that play in the Meadowbrook when they had the Meadowbrook
oh yeah.
open yet. That's quite a story. But just study that. There's a chain here, and most everything, the transmissions, the rear for the universal, all automobile parts. And I guess that's it.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I
you.
hope you liked it.
Thank you.
Did I go much over an hour?
Yeah, but it's half an hour.
I talked too much.
There was also some kind of